So, who's gonna live at the Aggrahood? We figured out our irrigation system. We figured out where everything's gonna go. Now, we just gotta figure out who the people are.
Here in Texas and the United States, we have a lot of vets with PTSD. Here at the Aggrahood, we want to work with those guys through grounding, through gardening therapy, through equine therapy, and we have 2 for you to meet right now.
Hi, I'm Mitch. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, served from 2016 to 2022 in the U.S. Army.
Hi, my name is Courtney Baker, and I'm a crisis counselor. I've been a crisis counselor for about 8 years. I'm a Navy veteran with PTSD myself, and that has really inspired me to work with other veterans. This job is more than a career to me, it's a purpose.
What's your opinion on the stigma surrounding PTSD in the military?
So, PTSD was almost viewed as my generation couldn't have it because we didn't see true war. We were told by our leadership, who were all Desert Storm guys, early 2009, 2005, we were just told that we didn't truly know what PTSD was. Like, they wouldn't let us get diagnosed. It was almost frowned upon to go seek help with behavioral health. I know for a fact whenever I told my leadership I was going to behavioral health to go get help, I pretty much got pulled aside and told to quit being a girl about it. I fell really hard into alcohol abuse. Started drinking almost every single night. I couldn't fall asleep unless I drank myself to sleep. And whenever I started realizing I was paying more money on alcohol than I was myself, that's whenever I realized I needed to get help. So the help wasn't very good. And the reason for it is because the military counselors are not what civilian counselors are. I've sought outside help before and it just costs way too much money. But whenever you go to a military counselor, you sit in a room, it's a very small room, you talk about your problems, and it's almost like they tell you how your problems shouldn't exist in that fact. So they were very nonchalant and tried to pretty much bury the problems that we had. I guess a big thing with the military counselors is they pretty much told us they couldn't diagnose me. The only thing that they diagnosed me with was extreme anxiety and extreme depression. So that was a big issue with me, is because I felt like I had a lot more going on than what I truly did. There was a good stint right before I got out of the military where I probably sat for 2 months and I thought about taking my own life every day.
He doesn't believe that he has PTSD. I believe he is showing symptoms of PTSD. He didn't experience combat, but PTSD can be triggered by combat exposure, natural disasters, the sudden loss of a loved one, violence or abuse, or accidents or injuries. Many things can cause PTSD, and he has some of the symptoms that we look for. So I'm not sure yet what could have caused that, but I hope to get into that a little bit more. Now, Wes is an interesting case. His military journey with 4 tours is remarkable and shows the full scope of how PTSD can evolve.
Have you ever been diagnosed with PTSD before?
I actually have been diagnosed through the VA in 2012. Before I transitioned back into the civilian life, I was diagnosed with PTSD from the combat trauma.
What sort of therapies have you tried before?
So through the VA, there's a couple of programs that they had put me in through from the Wounded Warrior pipeline, and we did exposure therapy where I was basically telehelp. I had my psychiatrist on the other end of the computer, and I would come into the office and we would basically talk for an hour. But during that time, he would have me relive portions of trauma that were bothering me, and he would encourage me to basically expose myself more to it, and then give the tools that he had given me or the things that we had talked about. You just try it this way. And it's a great idea. It kind of falls flat when you're putting the veteran back in a situation where he already wasn't uncomfortable, because his baseline is different now. And so there was a lot of problems with that. And then we did the one where we were both at our own houses. I would talk to him in San Diego, and I would be in my house, and for an hour I would tell him the combat trauma that I was like having the most problems with, and I would tell him the story while it was being recorded. And then my assignment every time before I saw him the next week was to listen to it 2 times a day and basically get put back in that situation. But now, knowing what you already know, see if you process it differently, basically.
It's not necessarily more common, but it's more common for people who have that combat exposure to get that diagnosis of PTSD. Yes, they're less embarrassed to talk about it, while people who don't have that combat exposure may feel like PTSD isn't justified, or they're more embarrassed to talk about it. Did they teach you any grounding methods?
I actually have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't actually done it. So
Are
I'm
you
actually
okay
excited.
if we try one today?
We're gonna see if it works.
All right, we're gonna do what's called soil therapy or earthing.
Okay.
So walking through the earth, planting, watering, working in the ground can bring mindfulness and calm. Some experts believe that as we walk through the dirt, feel the texture in our hands, free electrons are actually passed from the earth to our bodies and back again. Soil therapy can relieve stress hormones, help you sleep better, and increase your energy. So all we do is just walk through the soil. You can feel the texture in your hands.
And so the idea is to reconnect.
Reconnect to the ground. Feel the texture on your feet and your hands. Do you feel calm?
I mean, definitely the environment, the birds chirping in the background, the breeze blowing, the sand. It definitely is very relaxing and calming.
Do you feel comfortable sharing what kind of experiences may have contributed to your PTSD diagnosis?
The situation that I'll use, I mean, I spent 3 combat deployments in Iraq while we were in heavy combat operations with an infantry battalion. So we raided the city of Fallujah in November of 2004, and my team was assigned to take down a building that we had been taking fire from all day. So it had my company pinned down. They sent out a team to go clear this building and shoot the people that were inside the building. As I come in, we shoot that guy. As we shoot him, my point man, he goes further into the room, and I go to unzip his jacket, because as he falls, I see that he's got a suicide vest on. Right as I unzipped it, he blew up. I'm bleeding everywhere. My point man is still down. He took shrapnel to his whole backside. I took shrapnel to my face, my head, one of my extremities. I mean, at the time when something like that happened, if they could get you help, then it would come. But it took time to get a Humvee there that wasn't taking fire to help somebody out. So most of the time you stayed right there and you had to protect yourself until they could get somebody there. That pressure that moment put on me has forever changed my life as far as how I consume the amount of time I have and the things I try to get done.
Do you think the Aggrahood's blend of hands-on living and community support could be a better fix than clinical models you've tried before?
After hearing the idea, I actually think it's like our last remaining hope, because it's the only thing people aren't trying. It's the only thing that from the very beginning of existence, we grew up on the soil.
Wes served 4 tours during his time in the military. Every person is different on the amount of time it takes for them to recover. It just depends on how severe their symptoms are and what they're going through. I would say Wes has severe symptoms. Mitch's are a little more subtle. With Wes, we see those intrusive memories and avoidance behaviors and changes in thinking and mood and changes in physical and mental reactions.
PTSD is a subject that no one wants to talk about. They don't want a lot of people coming in that already have PTSD, because then they question whether you're going to be able to do your job efficiently or
for
not.
sure. Hey, and that's even jobs like, dude, when I got out, I went and did I went through LAPDs. I failed the psychological evaluation, right? And replayed. So my entire existence, once you fail one of those in the police department, it makes it even harder to get on at another place. Right. So it really discouraged, as a sniper coming around the Marine Corps, it discouraged the only thing that I was really good at. Yeah. Which is just policing people.
Mm-hmm. So you were a sniper?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I was infantry. We were both, he was a grunt, I was a grunt.
So I was an aviation boatswain handler and worked on the flight deck, directing aircraft.
I was an aerial sniper, so I worked off the big decks, and I would fly on the 46s, like every time they were taking down pirate ships. I was the aerial sniper for those.
Wow.
Yeah. But once you see that adrenaline, dude, it's hard to ever replace that with anything else. I mean, speeding in the car, cutting people off is nothing.
Reckless driving.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's
I mean, yeah, whenever I got out of the Army, I found myself doing it because I got 2 speeding tickets in underneath 2 months.
I got a reckless driving ticket for doing 113 on my bike.
See that? Like,
It's just seeking that adrenaline rush that we're used to.
when we were in combat, like, before we left, all the Marines went out and got married because what were they getting?
Separation pay.
They were getting extra BAH, they were getting all the extra stuff, but when they came back, they still had to go through the divorce. They still lost half the stuff.
A lot of my buddies were just getting married to other soldiers, like other female soldiers, just so they had that extra BAH, and you know, they were able to leave and stay in a house instead of being in the barracks, because the barracks, I know where I was at, were massively depressing.
Oh, dude.
2 soldiers to 1 room, and the only thing that separated you was
dude, I used to
was a
be,
closet.
I mean, I don't know how many suicide calls I was on by Marines that had hung themselves or done stupid stuff
In the
in the
barracks.
barracks.
Yeah.
Right? The situation that you're creating for them and putting them in and saying like, yo, we're going to take care of you. You're
supposed to feel safe
if mom
here.
and dads knew that that's the way they were, I mean, let's be honest, would you let your kid do it?
No.
Not that part of it.
No.
I mean, yeah, it teaches them a lot of stuff about themselves, but you're also putting them in those situations where they're going to be more depressed. They're going to be around a ton of people that are drinking, have nowhere to go on the weekends. So what do you start to do?
Drink.
You start getting addicted to things. You get a fix.
Yeah, I know personally, I'd been on suicide watch multiple times for soldiers who, you know, were potential suicide risks, and they were still in the military. And a lot of them, thinking about it, were transitioning out. They were getting ready. They were either getting kicked out or they were getting out of the military, and they didn't know where to go from there.
Yeah, dude, I'm definitely advocate the amount of suicides that I think are just predominantly that start at the transitioning phase. Like they start as soon as you are stripped of everything you knew and told to start over again.
Yep.
So there's so many great aspects about this that's gonna to start over with.
It's gonna give them a purpose of like, I get to grow this from the seed and bring it up, and you know, I get to watch it, you know, progress. And I mean, I know for me, like, purpose was the biggest thing I searched for. Like, I had to do something that I felt like I was doing something with my life.
Yeah.
Compared to the barracks, how do you feel being out here in nature?
It's a totally different vibe. Like when you leave the barracks, you're leaving because you want to take a break from being inside your room. And so I think something like this, there is like an instant feedback on what you're trying to do here. And I think that is going to keep people coming back. That's going to get more people, more veterans, like, intrigued with the possibilities of changing who they got left as, and now they want to become somebody else.
You walk down the path from the barracks and you're either going to the cough, or you're going to where your unit is, or you're going off base to do something. Like, you're not allowed to walk on the grass on anyone on an installation. That is
for real.
absolutely not allowed. The only time I ever really truly went to nature was if I went on a motorcycle ride, or if I went snowboarding and stuff like that. Like, most of the time I'd find myself leaving the barracks, going off post, and going to a bar. With this whole aspect of actually being in nature instead of being at the barracks, it's a whole different, you're surrounding yourself with different types of, just a different environment.
And we talked about gardening, but we're going to have animals here too, like equine therapy and cows and chickens to take care of.
Puppies, yes, puppies.
I was about to say, whenever my kids are out here, you know, we go around, we pick the blackberries and stuff like that. Like, I actually get them out and they get to experience, like, I have them walk around and pull the plums off the trees. And, you know, my son the other day, he just pulled one off. I didn't even have to tell him to, and he started eating it. And I was like, all right. I was like, there you go.
Yeah, dude, that comfort that you could give a kid to know, like, yo, I can take that off the tree and eat it, and he's not asking you, and you feel comfortable with his decision. I'm like, dude, why wouldn't you want that?
Exactly. Knowing that, like, it's naturally grown and it's, you know, safe and healthy to eat.
Yeah.
And, you know, knowing that you didn't put anything on it that's going to harm them. So it's just, I don't know, it means a lot to teach them that way, and to teach them that they can do stuff like that.
Well, today we had a situation at the farm. You can't avoid it. They didn't pin their dogs up, they let them run loose, and this is the result. We're missing 12 chickens. We've got 9 that are dead. I'm trying to calm down a little bit. Probably not gonna help. But you can see, dog prints, chicken feathers. The dogs had feathers in their mouth. There's 12 that I can't even find that they drug off in the woods somewhere, probably, more than likely, We've got 3 left that are up in the rafters. Thank goodness we got 3.
What the hell happened? Bro, what the hell happened, bro? What kind of dogs?
There are 2 little pit bull mixes in the back of my truck.
Fucking speechless, bro. I'm speechless, man. What the hell?
I mean, they're not just egg producers, they follow us around everywhere.
Right.
The kids come in, and I've got 100 pictures of kids holding these chickens,
Right.
Yeah, people will say all you gotta do is buy new chickens, but it's a little bit more than that. Hopefully this one will be different. Hopefully they'll take responsibility and take accountability and replace the chickens and keep the dogs pinned up,
You know what's crazy? 6,400 people a year, 6,400 veterans, bro, died to unaliving themselves because they can't talk to nobody.
6,400.
Yeah, do the math on that. How many people is that a day?
I don't know the exact number, but it's close to 20 a day. But I know 10 don't seem like a lot, what we're doing, but that's just the beginning, man. 10 can turn to 20, 20 can turn to 40, 40 can turn to 80, and before you know it, we put a big dent in that bullshit. And that's what we're doing, man. We gotta push all the dirt back to the roots and fertilize that thing and put some good dirt on the top of it, and then let them grow. I can't wait.
This is where we put our pairs. It's a little bit higher fence because sometimes they get mean because they want to protect their calves. And this is where we put all of our cows that are going to the ring to sell, the alley.
15 hours active.